So that will probably not match. So how are Sarthak's, is Sarthak around by chance? Okay, if Sarthak's grammar is left, okay, Sarthak, your grammar is left recursive or right recursive?
Sir, mostly it's right recursive, but I'm not sure. I think I mixed it at a few places.
I see,
Mostly it should be right recursive only.
I see.
Sir,
Yeah, Venkat, go ahead.
sir, what, like, we just have to follow a consistent grammar, right? Like everyone would have to use the same one, right?
That is true.
So,
Everyone will
like,
have to use the same one. Yes.
sir, so like, what is the problem with the left recursive one that they have already given? Like, it's an LALR parser, right? Like, so like, um,
Left recursive should also not be a problem. It's just that the test cases have been created with that, and I think the grammar is right recursive. Anyway, I think only at a couple of places that right recursion comes into picture. I think
sir,
that
like,
is.
like the test cases are according to right recursive or left recursive.
So, can Krishnanjali and Ramya confirm that the test cases are according to right recursive?
Yeah, test cases are according to right recursive only.
Okay. Okay, then I think it's better to, I mean, I see the grammar does not have, I think that statement list is one left recursive. Then that local declarations is another left recursive. That you just move it to the right and that should not create any problem at all.
So like, I was just concerned because like different people might change it in different forms. Like it might lead to problems. Can the TAs like give a fixed grammar in the first place so that we can just straight away use it?
Uh, okay, that sounds fine. So what we will do is this declaration. So Ramya and Krishnanjali. So there are three. I think whatever I could see, there are three productions which have the left recursive grammar: DCL list, then
Param list.
param list, statement list 3, and local declarations 4. Right, so I don't see anything else as such. So all these 4 grammars are easily doable with the right recursion, and maybe arg list 5. So there are 5 productions I see which are left recursive. Let's convert that to right recursive and repost this.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Is that reasonable? Because I think there was some reason why we had done it left recursive, but anyway, we'll convert it to right recursive because the answers I think are with respect to the right recursive grammar. Okay, so we'll take that up. Sure, but I suppose everybody get the thing that we have to use right recursive grammar. Past tree in the document is according to left recursive. Okay. Arihan says that past trees in the document are left recursive. Let me see.
Yes, yes, it is according to the left recursive.
Sorry, Ramya, you are not audible. I mean, feebly audible.
Hello?
Yeah, Ramya, go ahead.
Yeah, the AST tree given in the assignment, it is according to the left recursive one only.
Oh, is it? Uh, okay, the AST given is left recursive. So, are we still expecting people? I mean, are the test cases with respect to right recursive or left recursive?
It is according to left recursive. Yeah, I was wrong. It is according to left recursive, the test case is given. So I
Oh,
have to convert this grammar to right recursive, and I'll update the test cases also accordingly.
no, 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 no. If okay, if the test cases as well as the ASTs are in left according to left recursive grammar, then we just remove that sentence which says that you have to convert it to left recursive. You have to convert it to right recursive,
Okay.
right? So then let everything be left recursive. That should be okay. That is not a
Okay.
problem,
Okay.
right? So the
So,
grammar
sir,
as well as ASTs, let everything be left recursive. Yeah,
So,
Venkat, you were saying something?
sir, so like now we can just follow everything that has been given, right? So we don't have to change anything now.
Yeah, in the PDF, only that sentence, that note is going to get removed. Uh, but Ramya and Krishnanjali, can you please once confirm and post it on Moodle later
Yeah,
that
sure.
the AST as well as the test cases are with respect to left recursive grammar, so that we don't have to change neither the grammar nor the test case. Hmm?
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Sir,
okay, good.
we only
Yeah.
have to find the longest path, right? So if you're changing the order of symbols, does the left recursive and right recursive thing matter?
No, it won't matter. With respect to longest path, it will not matter. But I am not sure if you are going to have any other changes because of left recursion, right recursion. It should not happen, because I think the 5 statements that I saw really should not create a problem. So we are not asking anything specific to. Okay, let me just quickly go over that. What all are we expecting as part of the output? There are, I think, 5 things. Longest path in AST, longest path across all subtrees of if statement. That should also not be a problem. All subtrees of the while, then the switch, and then the main function. Yeah, so then I somehow feel that the answer should not change. Your AST might change. So AST might not match the one given in the document, but I think the answers will not change irrespective of whether you do left recursive or right recursive. That is my current understanding. Anybody has any suggestions on this one? So the only place where it will help is to kind of check if you are generating the same AST or similar AST, or rather same AST as given in the document. So if you follow the left recursive grammar, but the answer should not change. Venkata is asking, we should consider epsilon productions into the AST.
So like,
Yes. Yeah.
sir, the problem is, so in some cases like
Mhm.
params and in local declarations in the
Mhm.
AST, they're considering epsilon production as well. But
Correct.
let's say I have a type, let's say I have int, so it is going into type spec and then we're not going into extern spec and then epsilon. We're
Mhm.
just taking integer as according to the given AST. But
Correct.
in this case, actually, our size will increase by 1. Like if this type is there in the path, then
Uh-huh.
int will only give one size, but then extern spec and then epsilon will get size 2.
Okay, let me see. So here in the ASTs that have been shown, we do have
So
epsilon production,
yes, sir,
or
capital O, and we have another place 112.
I see.
But wherever we are type spec, we are just going into int.
That is correct. No, I think it is, yeah, in this case, it is going to be important to have the epsilon productions to have uniformity with respect to the test case. So in case in A1, you have written down the grammar without the epsilon, my suggestion is to change it, only that production, whichever is having epsilon production, and follow that. Alternatively, you can replace the grammar with this particular grammar and use this. Right? This is going to be the safest.
Yes, sir, in this grammar only.
Yeah, so whatever is given, yes, with because of the epsilon production, the size might differ. So you should use the epsilon production.
My overall size was still coming out to be 30 as pointed out by this output when I used epsilon production into the thing as well.
So you got
So
the different AST, you are saying.
yeah, so AST in the sense, so their AST they stopped at integer, but
Hmm.
like after type spec. So my AST I'm going into extern spec and then epsilon, but still the overall size, this is the only one I found out till now. The overall size was 30 only for me as well. So that part, the answer was coming out right in this case,
Hmm.
but the AST
Yeah, in
it
some
should be
other case,
epsilon, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That is correct. So epsilon must be considered. That is correct, because the abstract syntax tree does contain the derivation, the reduction, and epsilon is part of the production, and therefore it may change the, in some cases, it might change the length of the longest path in the tree. It so happens that because of, I think that you are probably not changing it, but I don't know if there are other places because of the epsilon transition it might change. So it's um okay. So I should mention to you what is the rationale behind having this longest path in if and while and so on. So the whole rationale is that you should build almost an explicit tree, abstract syntax tree. That is the purpose of this assignment. And for doing that, we cannot ask you to print the tree. We also want you to give some flexibility that you should have. Instead of printing the whole tree, what we could do is have a proxy for the whole tree, in which case we are just asking you to print some statistic with respect to that tree. In this case, the statistic could be the longest path. So that is what we came up with. But uh, yeah, so the purpose is that you should be able to build the same AST, right? Whatever is given according to the grammars. All right. So any other questions? Arnav, you said that you have some questions.
Yes, sir. They actually covered it. I had
Okay,
the same question. Yeah.
good. Krishnanjali, Ramya, do you have anything more to add? Any explanation or
Um,
anything
no,
that students should be worried about or be
No,
careful about?
no, sir.
no.
Okay.
Sir,
Sir, I have a doubt actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, sir, let's say I made a struct,
Mhm.
and let's say it's a struct node, for
Mhm.
example. So if I want all of my non-terminals and this to have the type node, then I would use it in person union and then specify the types, right?
Mm,
Let or I can do the hash defineness by type. So my doubt is actually, let's say I want a type node star, then does it actually allocate memory to that as well?
no, no, no. Memory will be allocated only to the pointer, not to the structure.
Okay, so like what is happening is if I'm just giving a type node, then everything is working fine. But if it's a
Hmm.
pointer, then it's giving seg fault. So
Correct.
where
Correct.
can I actually allocate the memory?
I think you will have to allocate it in main, uh, or at
Like then,
least just before the use.
yeah, I've tried using like whenever there is a, let's say,
Hmm. Hmm.
terminal. So I've tried allocating memory over there and all. But even then, I'm like there are of course a lot of rules, so I'm getting seg fault. So
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
not really sure where I am to allocate memory for all these non-terminals dollar.
Oh, I see. So by default, okay. So one possibility might be that, to the extent I can think that dollar might have initialization to null, and before allocating memory, you could possibly check if equals null, then allocate memory. So that could be one way. Um, but if it is garbage by any chance, actually, the way I think is that whenever you reference, oh, I see. So it will depend upon the grammar where you are assigning. So you might be assigning in a particular. Okay, so you should think about it this way, that you are doing a bottom-up parsing, and therefore some non-terminal which you are using for the first time, at that time in that production, the lowest production for that non-terminal, you should be able to assign the value there wherever you are using that non-terminal as $. Right? At that time you should allocate memory, and then wherever you are using that particular non-terminal as part of the right hand side body of the production, at that time it should be guaranteed that the malloc has already been done.
Yes, sir. So a malloc is needed once for every non-terminal and terminal on the left side.
That is correct. Yeah. For terminals, you could either do it inside the
Or we can just pass values
parser.
directly.
Yeah, that is one possibility, or in the lexer also. Yeah, or you can pass the values, assuming, because those won't be most probably star, but in case those are the pointers, then yeah, we need to allocate memory at that time itself. But by the time they come to the right hand side part of the production, the memory should have already been allocated. I think if you follow that, it should be okay. And if you still face trouble, I think running it via GDB might be helpful. At least it will give you where around what it gave us a quad. I mean, it will be, you'll have to reverse map it from lex.yy.c or y.tab.c to your parser, but it should still be able to help. Yeah, so Sarthak is suggesting that it could be garbage. Yeah, it's possible that it could be garbage. I don't know if it allocates memory and initializes with 0 or it uses calloc or something like that. But if not, then we'll have to worry about this part. If it does, then I think just checking null should be sufficient. Okay. Anybody else has any other questions? So,
Sir, one more thing. So, like the things which we do in the yak.y file, we can, like for every production rule, we can actually, I can call functions, I can modify $1 and $2. So, is there, so let's say I have a terminal, let's say I'm identifying a token from .l from the lexer file. So, can I do something in the lexer file itself to actually return this, or can I actually access like dollar or like the tokens like $1 inside lecture by any chance?
uh, uh, mm, I mean, there is a strange possibility. So, for example, yylex that gets called, you can pass some parameters to it, but you'll have to most probably modify lex dot lex.yy.c as well as y.tab.c. Another possibility is to pass the kind of context you are in the parser via some global structure, which will be accessible in the .l file. So that could be another way, but I don't know if there is any direct way of knowing where you are in the parsing. Does anybody know of that? Okay, so there doesn't seem to be. So it might be a little tough. I mean, one possibility is to pass it via global variables, but I don't know how effective it will be. I mean, you
Like
can
so,
do it. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, so Ramya, can you, so when we remove that note and you upload the document, please also post it on Moodle that we have removed this requirement, because there might be other students who are not in the current session, so they should also know. And in addition, just add one line to the message that this, whether left recursive or right recursive, it does not change the final answer. Right? As students have pointed out,
Okay.
whether it is left recursive or right recursive, it keeps the length of the longest path the same, and therefore we should, I mean, they are free to use any of these grammars.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, any other suggestions, students? Okay. So, if not, we'll stop here. And yeah, so then today's lab is done. If there are any further questions, please feel free to use Moodle, and you could post on Moodle. Right? Raghu has just joined. Raghu, you have any questions? Okay, so we'll then disperse. All right, see you then. Thank you, Ramya and Krishnanjali, for joining.